Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am so incredibly excited you're here with us today because we're digging into something that is quite literally rewriting the rules of modern work as we speak. Look, if you think you're totally crushing it with AI just because you're getting some decent answers out of ChatGPT, you might want to buckle up. I mean, sure, that was enough maybe 6 months ago, but it's just not enough anymore. The next massive paradigm shift is AI agents. And let me tell you, the gap between the people who actually understand them and those who don't is about to get very, very expensive. But hey, the good news? You are not behind yet. And honestly, agents are actually way simpler than most people realize once you see how they're put together.
So let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We are going to hit the AI paradigm shift, the anatomy of an agent, the power of adapting, why AI agents fail, and finally, the future of judgment. Let's dive right in.
Section 1, the AI paradigm shift. It's time to realize we are moving way beyond just a glorified search engine.
Okay, we really need to redefine what AI is actually doing for us right now. Right now, most of us are treating AI like, well, a student driver. Think about it. When you're prompting a traditional chatbot, you're sitting in the passenger seat next to a teenager with a learner's permit. You have to guide them, you have to constantly correct them, and you've got to stay incredibly alert because they're just waiting for your next instruction. An AI agent, on the other hand, that's a hired driver. You literally just set the destination, hand over the keys, and chill in the back seat. The agent autonomously handles the route, the traffic, and all those tiny, step-by-step decisions required to actually get you where you want to go.
So, what does this actually look like in the real world? Take a standard prompt like, write me a LinkedIn post. That's your student driver. Now think about an agent workflow for that exact same goal. You tell it, watch my industry every Monday. Find the 3 most relevant news stories. Study my previous posts. Draft a new post based on those stories in my specific voice. Revise it against my style guide and then schedule it for Tuesday morning. See the difference? The agent takes over the entire step-by-step decision process, the whole shebang, rather than just obediently spitting out a single paragraph of text and stopping.
And this brings us to an absolutely crucial concept, the ARR framework. This is hands down the simplest way to figure out when you should actually use an agent. ARR stands for autonomous, recurring, and reviewable. If a task hits those 3 criteria, it's a perfect match for an AI agent. But if a task needs your live, real-time judgment, or if it's literally just a one-off thing, stick to a regular prompt. Just keeping this one framework in the back of your mind is going to put you miles ahead of almost everyone else using AI right now.
Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of an Agent. Let's take a look under the hood.
To really get how agents can be so ridiculously independent, we first have to remember what a standard chatbot is actually doing. It's a large language model, an LLM. When you type in a question, it breaks your words down into little pieces called tokens, converts them to numbers, and then just predicts the most likely next word based on pure probability. So if you say, Jack fell down and broke the model doesn't actually know the nursery rhyme. It just calculates that, based on tons of training data, the most probable next word is crown. It's just predicting. But an agent takes this exact same language model, but instead of just guessing the next word, it uses it to decide on its next physical action.
Here is the crazy part. An agent isn't just one single brain. It actually acts more like a complete team. When you assign it a complex task, you're really handing that job over to 4 distinct worker personas acting in real time around that core language model. You've got the analyst, who finds the patterns, the planner, who figures out the best plan of attack, the operator, who actually grinds out the work, and finally the auditor, who double-checks the results.
Let's put this team into action, right? Imagine you give an agent this instruction. Every Monday at 7 a.m., review the past week's customer support tickets, identify the 3 biggest issues, and email my team a 1-page brief. Boom. Seamlessly, the analyst reads all those tickets and spots the patterns. Then the planner steps in and decides what actually matters for the final brief. The operator writes and sends the actual email. But right before it goes out, the auditor scans it for sloppy logic or missing context. So by Monday morning, a perfectly refined brief just magically drops into your inbox, and you literally didn't have to do any of the reading or writing yourself.
Section 3, the power of adapting. This is all about what happens when things go completely off script.
Okay, this is where the real magic of agents comes into play, their ability to pivot. To really grasp this, we've got to look at this wild historical anomaly. Back in the Korean War, American pilots flying F-86s were consistently beating Soviet MiGs. But here's the catch. The Soviet MiGs were actually technically superior. They were faster, they climbed higher. On paper, they should have won every time. But Air Force Colonel John Boyd figured out the secret. The American pilots simply had better visibility out of their cockpits. They could see more,
which meant they could adapt faster. They got inside the enemy's decision cycle. Basically, superior adaptation beats superior raw power every single time.
Colonel Boyd formalized this into a concept he called the ODO loop: observe, orient, decide, act. And honestly, this right here is the ultimate test of a real AI agent. Traditional, old-school software automation just completely breaks down the second the obvious path fails. But a true AI agent, it can run its own ODO loop. It observes the failure, it orients itself to this brand new reality, decides on a better path, and then acts on it.
Think about something as simple as a grocery workflow. Let's say you've got an automated process that orders your groceries every Friday. One week, your favorite item is out of stock. A standard automation just crashes right there because it's built to be obedient, not to think. But an agent, it observes the item is out of stock, it scans your digital calendar and goes, oh wait, they have 6 dinner guests coming over tomorrow. It orients to this totally new data, decides to find suitable substitute items, and bumps up the quantities for 6 people, and acts by rebuilding the whole order on the fly. It completely reroutes. That is the insane power of real-time adaptation.
Section 4. Why AI agents fail. Spoiler alert, it's usually a human problem. So if these things are so brilliantly adaptable, we really have to ask, why are they still messing up in the real world? Well, I'll let you in on a secret that top executives are realizing behind closed doors. Most AI problems are actually just human problems in a really good disguise. We heard from a CMO of a massive consumer brand recently, and they noted that even with all the data in the world, their biggest bottleneck in deploying AI was actually just getting humans to build clean, logical processes first.
It really boils down to this one profound realization. An agent is just a mirror. It just reflects the exact quality of your thinking right back at you. Agents aren't magic, right? They're multipliers. If you give an agent sloppy, half-baked directions with vague goals and absolutely no way to get feedback, it is not going to magically fix your bad thinking. It's just going to formalize it. It will literally drive the car straight into a tree, way faster and with far more confidence than you ever could. Because of that, before you automate anything, and I mean anything, you've got to run what we call the GPS check to guarantee your human inputs are flawlessly clear. Goal. Can you define the exact goal in one single clear sentence? Proof. How will you even know if the agent got it right? Like, what does good actually look like? And finally, steps. Can you describe every single step without any vague hand-waving? If you can't answer these, your agent is basically doomed from the start.
Let's look at the night and day difference this makes. A vague instruction like, summarize my emails every morning. Yeah, that's where the mess lives. But a precise instruction, at 7 a.m., read unread emails, categorize by urgency, draft routine replies, and flag the top 5 customers. That brings absolute clarity. The true winners of this whole AI shift, they aren't just going to be software engineers. The winners will be the people who understand their own work deeply enough to move from that vague instruction on the left to the precise ownership on the right. And you know, this applies on a massive macro level too. Everyone thinks they want this broad, generalized, do-everything intelligence. Actually, scratch that. Narrow focus is what actually wins. Take this story from a recent construction software conference. A product lead gets up and demos a beta agent that did just one highly specific, incredibly annoying task, collecting field data in one particular situation. It was a beta, it had a few glitches, but when he put the QR code up on the screen at the end, literally every single person in that room raised their phones to snap a picture. Why? Because solving one specific, deeply annoying, repeated pain point perfectly, that is where the immense value and the money truly is.
Finally, Section 5. The future of judgment. How we start scaling our taste. As these agents start taking over the heavy lifting of executing our tasks, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. What happens to our careers? What happens to our day-to-day value? Well, AI is fundamentally a giant decoupling machine. Think about it. For almost all of modern history, your income was super tightly linked to your hours. Even if you were a top-tier executive, you were still essentially trading your time for making decisions. We are entering a brand new era where that link is finally broken. Agents are going to do the execution work, which means your new job, it's simply to scale your judgment.
And this leads us to this absolutely fascinating reality. When output becomes infinite, taste becomes scarce. We are stepping into a world where generating code, drafting massive amounts of content, pulling complex data analysis, all of that is going to be super cheap, practically infinite. But precisely because intelligence is getting so cheap, human judgment becomes exponentially more expensive. The most valuable person in the boardroom isn't going to be the one who types the fastest or thinks the quickest anymore. It's going to be the person with the taste to define what exceptional work actually is, to spot bad work instantly, and to know exactly when to trust the AI agent and when you absolutely need a human touch.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Will you shape this shift, or are you going to let yourself be shaped by it? Every single time you clarify a task for an AI agent, you are actually sharpening your own personal standards. You're learning what excellence really looks like. And sure, some roles are absolutely going to change, but entirely new ones are going to be created out of thin air, just like the internet did a few decades ago. Because ironically, by handing all that tedious, robotic execution over to AI agents, your daily work life is about to become so much more deeply human. So, what highly specific, totally annoying task are you going to hand over to your new hired driver today? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you all next time.